Hey, how's it going, YouTube? David here, and I'm not doing a reaction today. Well, I haven't done a reaction. I might do one later, but I don't know. But this is not a reaction. This isn't a gaming video, and I guess the best way to classify it would be a vlog. Yeah, I'm gonna put this in my vlogs, but because this is basically me talking at you and giving you guys some ideas that I had. So I was trolling YouTube, just looking around, checking out some crazy videos and stuff like that, and I came across one by Max Landis. For those of you guys who don't know, Max Landis is a writer. I think he's doing some directing, but he's a writer director. He's a really really good one too. This guy knows how to tell stories. He knows how to write. If you don't believe me, watch Chronicle. That movie was epic, and he has a YouTube channel. It's up to my knees. I'll go ahead and link the video over here. But I saw that he did a video where uh, he pitched his idea for a Superman slash Justice League kind of origin story, and according to him, from what I saw in the video, he was actually supposed to work on one, and this was before the New 52. But due to scheduling conflicts on his part, they never got around to it, so DC decided to scrap his idea and they went with the New 52 and they moved forward with that. That was my understanding of it, at least. So anyway, Max Landis goes up and he tells his origin story for Superman and Batman and how all these superheroes come together, and they take place in his own fictional DC universe. And it was something that I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed the video, and and it kind of inspired me because I'd like to consider myself a creative guy. I always have all these crazy ideas and things that I think I should put to write to I have ideas for comic books and all sorts of stuff. I don't have the time really to devote any of it to I don't have time to just write a book or anything like that, or write a script for a movie. I want to. I have, like I said, I have all these crazy ideas, but it's something that I never got around to, and I probably won't get around to these things. I mean, you guys will be the first to know if I ever write a book or something, or write a script. I'll put it online and I'll link it to you guys, but as of now I haven't done anything. So anyway, I got to thinking about superheroes and stuff, and I decided, you know what, I always had some pretty cool ideas, and this is basically me sharing with you my idea for kind of like a rebooted Superman, or a new Superman origin. And so yeah, so here we go. I'm gonna get started, and it's tentatively titled, I'm just titling it Superman Hope, because that's what Superman represents. So this is my idea for a comic, or a movie, or an animated film, or what have you. This is my idea for a Superman origin. Okay, so we start off with the prologue. Okay, the prologue will start on Krypton. A lot of people criticize this from the Man of Steel, but since basically this is my Superman reboot, there are things that I want to change with Superman's origin. And we got some basic stuff. It's a planet. I always thought, I don't know if it's contradicted in the comics, but for me, Krypton is located in one of the arms of the Andromeda Galaxy. That's the next galaxy over. So so this takes place on Krypton, and right now, okay, so on Krypton, there are basically essentially three ways of life, because on Krypton, society has a caste system, and it's governed by eugenics. For those of you who don't know, eugenics is basically classifying people and restricting them based on their genetics. So they have a genetic engineering program going. So here's how it goes. You're either I have no idea what to call them, an everyman. I was gonna say proletariat, but proletariat has to do with economics, not an actual. They're not an actual thing. So we have the everyman, and these are normal Kryptonians. Nothing special about them. They are lawyers, they're doctors, they're businessmen, they do menial tasks, they're construction workers. They represent 70% of Kryptonian society. Then you have the warrior class, the military, the Kryptonian military, and the police. They make up 25%. Okay? And the military slash police, they're the Kryptonian, they are genetically engineered to be leaps and bounds ahead of the regular Kryptonians. Why? Because we need this class of people to be stronger and to be smarter than everyone else, than most others. So these guys, they're essentially they're a cross between Captain America and Daredevil. Their physical attributes, flexibility, agility, their ability to move, they can lift 10,000 pounds, and they run at 150 miles an hour without breaking a sweat. They're just super powered beings, and they're engineered this way because in Krypton's past there have been hundreds of civil wars, and there have been hundreds of interstellar wars. Krypton has been shaped by war with other planets like Thanagar. And who are they? The Almaraki, or however you pronounce their name. So Krypton has been shaped by war. So while they do have the majority of their people, 70% of the people, they're just regular folks, they do have an intense military class. And these guys serve as the military, and they serve as the police. And you have the intellectuals, the scholars, the philosophers. These are the thinking class. They only make up 5% because you don't need that many, which is still a lot. 5% of, say, 2 billion people. We'll say that this version of Krypton only has about 2 billion people. So this remaining 5%, they're genetically engineered to be way more intelligent than the norm. They're all like Stephen Hawking. They're all these great philosophers and thinkers and all that. They're the ones that make laws. They're the ones that make that structure the way life is. They're the ones that structure and categorize Kryptonian society. Like, they're the elders or what have you. Like, you know, if Krypton was about to explode, which we'll get to that, but if Krypton is ever in danger, they're the ones that they hold the knowledge of society, their history, their religions, all of that. And they're these forward-thinking people. Now, this is how Krypton was structured. You have the majority regular people. 25% of them are military warrior class and police. And you have the thinkers. They're the ones that lead Krypton into a better tomorrow. You know, all that crap. So, we have these 3 classes of people. Oh, by the way, I should have mentioned this first. I can't believe I'm fucking up so badly into this. You guys can tell that I'm not well at structuring stories. Anyway, Krypton is regular Earth-like planet. It is not, because in most versions, Krypton is a super massive planet, or it's a regular sized planet, but it has super dense material so that its gravity is far greater than that of Earth, and that's how they explain away Superman's super strength. But that we're not going to do with that. Krypton is a regular sized 25 to 30,000 mile around planet, pretty much Earth sized. And their gravity is 1g. So the regular Kryptonians are no different than a human. Like, they can work out and you know, be healthy and fit and strong, but it would be no more, no less than a regular human. And like I said, the warrior class, they're like Captain America and Daredevil cross, because they're physical and their senses, their sense of smell, sight, hearing, all of this has been taken to 1,000 times more than regular, which would be regular humans and all that. So yeah, so we have these super soldiers, as they are, and we have these super geniuses that are the scholars and the leaders. And about 20 years, for the past 20 years, Krypton has undergone massive changes due to a civil war. This isn't a regular civil war. This is the machines versus the Kryptonians, because before, Krypton was structured by a super intelligence, an artificial intelligence called the Brain Interactive Construct, Brainiac. Brainiac would run things. He would all the things that need to be run that are automated. like that we have, like dams, traffic signals. All of that is kind of like artificial intelligence. They're low level intelligence, basic programs, and they all entrusted all of this to the super intelligence known as Brainiac. And out of nowhere, one day, Brainiac went crazy and started turning all of the machines and everything on Krypton against the Kryptonians. So Krypton had to radically change and militarize against this superintelligence, which is using androids and cyborgs. Because in a super advanced society, there are people that would have cybernetic enhancements and cybernetic implants in them, and Brainiac was able to hack into these, and there are Kryptonian super soldiers that are being mind controlled by Brainiac. So we have this faction that is Brainiac, and we have the Kryptonians. The Kryptonians are being led by the council, the elders. Like, they're the ones that are strategizing. They're the ones that are organizing everything. They're rationing everything. They're the ones that have taken control in the middle of this crisis. And we're going to focus on two people on the council, Jor-El and Dru-Zod. Dru-Zod is the military man. He's the one that is spearheading all the campaigns. He's out in the field, he's battling, he's doing all of this stuff against Brainiac, trying to stop him. And we have Jor-El, same thing. He's a scientific genius. He was he was a scholar. He was genetically engineered to be a super genius. So we have the Kryptonians versus the cyborgs and the Brainiac. So we're starting to get the war is starting to come to a point where everyone's basically like, yeah, like, they've been fighting for 20 years. All this stuff has been going down, and they've seen some shit, and they just want it to end. Like, they're going to the battlefield to either finally win the war or to just die on the battlefield so they could be free from this. They're jaded as fuck. And so Jor-El, like I said, he's a scientist. He's also watching Brainiac's movements and all of this stuff, and he starts realizing that Brainiac is digging into the planet. Not like digging to build mines or something to blow up Kryptonians as they're running past. He's digging miles upon miles upon miles down into Krypton's core, and he's curious as to why this is. Now, there are tons of materials down in all planets, so everybody except for Jor-El just assumes that he's extracting materials to continue creating his android army to build more machines. But Jor-El does not think this. Jor-El thinks that there's something more going on, something more sinister. So Jor-El talks to his brother. Is it Zor-El? Fuck, I can't believe I forgot his name. I'm pretty sure it's Zor-El. Let's look it up. But he talks to his brother. Yeah, it's Zor-El. Can't believe I fucking forgot that. So Zor-El is unique because he was an accident. When Jor-El's parents decided we're going to go to the birthing matrix, because Kryptonians don't give birth naturally, they submit to the council, and the council says yes, and they go to a birthing matrix, submit their DNA, and the best of the best between the two is spat out, is given birth. Jor-El, when Jor-El's parents went to the machine, they had a surprise because it didn't give them one child, it gave them twins. Zor-El is Jor-El's younger twin brother. So he goes to his brother and his brother's family, because he has Zor-El has a wife and a daughter named Kara Zor-El. Kara Zor-El is 15 at this point. So he goes to talk to his brother to compare notes. And as he's talking with his brother, they start coming into a shocking conclusion that perhaps Brainiac, I can't believe I forgot that. What the fuck is wrong with me? Brainiac is probably digging to the core of the planet to destabilize it, possibly to catastrophic effects. Now, this is just a theory. So he takes it to the council. Council brushes him off. It's not an option. Brainiac was created to protect and govern Krypton. Brainiac's might be malfunctioning, and he might have, for whatever reason, decided that Kryptonians need to go, but Krypton is Brainiac's home. So there's no way in hell that Brainiac is going to blow up Krypton, so they just brush him off. Jor-El is starting to panic, and he starts realizing, shit, Brainiac is going to fucking blow up Krypton. Nobody's listening to him. People think he's crazy. He gets kicked off the council because he's causing so much trouble. So at this point, him and his brother look at each other and they're like, you know, what the fuck are we gonna do? Planet's gonna blow up. Space travel is banned in this because they don't want Krypton is very xenophobic. Like, they don't want to deal with other outside planets unless they absolutely have to. And at this point, they considered it an internal issue, so they don't know what they're gonna do. So Jor-El, Zor-El tells Jor-El, maybe we should just evacuate the planet. Do what they can, you know, like just get as many people to do it, and hopefully there'll be some semblance of Krypton left. So they go around and they go asking people, some of their closest friends, some of the people that they know from the battlefield, all of that, and everybody just brushes them off. And things get so bad that Zor-El ends up getting killed. So at this point, Jor-El lost his brother, and no one besides his own wife, really, Jor-El's wife, Zor-El's wife, and his daughter really are invested in this anymore. Everybody's kind of resigned to their fate because everybody either feels, I'm either going to die on the battlefield, or or this war is just going to go on forever. So everybody's jaded and everybody's messed up. So Zor-El. Now I'm saying Zor-El. So Jor-El starts getting to a plan, and he realizes that he can't save Krypton. There's nothing he can do to save the people because they don't want to be saved at this point. At this point, everybody's just ready for death, ready for the war to end. And he can't convince anybody that the end is coming in the form of Brainiac blowing up the planet, because it's just so outlandish to them that it's not even an option. So he confronts his wife, and he tells her, you know, what are we going to do? And his wife is, unlike Jor-El, who's an intellectual, his wife is a soldier. And she refuses to abandon Krypton. She's not going to leave because she was born and bred specifically to protect Krypton. So she's going to keep fighting. She's going to stay on Krypton, even if it means blowing up, because it's her programming, essentially. She was programmed to be intelligent and on the battlefield, but other than being on the battlefield, she knows nothing. So Jor-El, he's stuck on this planet. He doesn't know what to do, and the people around him are all resigned to their fates. So he looks back on his brother's work. His brother was a geneticist, and it's the last days of Krypton. He feels like his world has come crashing down. His brother is dead, and everything's just going to hell. And he starts researching into his brother's research, kind of like he's resigned. He's just putting stuff away at this point, and he comes across some notes, and he realizes that Kara was intentionally manufactured by him, not by the birthing matrix. He's looking into his brother's research, and he realizes that Kara was not given birth to by the birthing matrix conventionally. Zor-El hacked the system, and he created a perfect genetic model of a hybrid between the intellectuals and the warriors. This was forbidden on Krypton because they wanted to prevent any idea of a perfect being. They believed that everybody belonged in a certain place. Everybody was a cog in the machine. You need leaders, you need people to enforce the leaders' ideas, and you need the people to sustain the system. So the idea of one perfect being who's intelligent, powerful, and all of that, they didn't want anything to do with that because it would uproot their entire system. And he realizes that Kara he believed she was originally bred to be a soldier. She had undergone the training and everything, but he had no idea that she was also a genius level intellect, a hybrid between them. He starts becoming obsessed with his brother's research, and he seeks to replicate it, because this is how he's going to save Krypton. He decides that if he cannot save Krypton, then at least he could save the best of Krypton through himself. He approaches his wife, Laura, yeah, her name is Laura, and they agree to create a child, but he uses the same method of hacking the system and injecting the perfect DNA model that would absorb the DNA of Laura and Jor-El, creating, once again, this hybrid, the best of the Kryptonian people. So, now he has, through himself, an extension of himself and his wife, and technically his brother, they have this perfect specimen of Krypton. Now he has to save it. He has to save him. So he starts building a pod. And he gets this idea to send them away. He wants to save Krypton, and he's going to download all of Krypton's history, their knowledge, military, religions, everything, and he's going to put it in this pod, in these two pods, and he's going to send his niece, and he's going to send Kal-El, he's going to send them away from the war so that they may pick up somewhere else, and at least in some way, shape, or form, Krypton will live on. So we get to the culmination of the war. Kal-El is born. He's finished the pod for Kara, and he's finished the pod for Kal. And finally, the Kryptonian Council gets wind that he's creating escape pods. So so they seek to stop him because nobody's allowed to leave Krypton. They believe that it is a heresy to leave the planet. This is one of their most ingrained beliefs. Krypton has remained isolated for the past 1,000 years. And so in order to stop him, they start sending some of their soldiers after him, one of the soldiers being Dru-Zod, a close friend of Jor-El, who is now coming after him. Now, this is where things start falling into place, pretty much like what Man of Steel happened. He manages to launch Kal and Kara into outer space, and he fights Zod. Zod kills him. You know, that's how it plays out. So, but here's where things get different. Throughout the battle that we're trying to capture Jor-El, trying to capture him to figure out where he sent the Kara, Zor-El, and Kal-El, because they excuse me, at this point they don't know where they've gone. They don't know what planet they were sent to. They don't know what purpose they might have. For all they know, that he has schematics for weapons or something or other. In the inquiry, in the investigation, they come across some startling information. Brainiac didn't malfunction. Brainiac was hacked by none other than Dru-Zod. Dru-Zod wanted to create a war that would thrust him into a position of leadership where he would be able to recreate Krypton in his own image. With all of this information out in the open, the Kryptonian Council turns on Zod and his followers, his main little gang. They sentence him to the Phantom Zone, as, you know, that's how it goes. Zod always ends up in the Phantom Zone. And finally, everything seems to be taking a rest. They've dealt with Zod. They have Jor-El's widow, Lara, and they're interrogating her, and she's keeping quiet because she believed in Jor's plan. She believed in his. She believed in him. And as all of this is going on, as this this Kryptonian society is fractured, they Brainiac finally reaches the center of the planet and blows it up. Brainiac destroys Krypton. And that is the end of the prologue. Now, in comic book form or in film form, this would only be like 10 minutes. You know, that took fucking forever, but it would only be about 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes of action and all of that, so for all this information to come out. Now we're getting into Act 1. Now, we're starting off with a little bit of it's kind of a flashback, sort of, but not at the same time. We see a young Clark Kent, little kid. He's like, he's 15, we'll say he's 15, and he's running, he's jumping, he has all these abilities. He could sustain flight for like 2-3 minutes before he plummets back to the ground. He has this great strength, and he knows he's different, and he's suffered for it, and he's lived with this and all that, and finally, messing around in the barn, he ends up crashing through the floor into a basement, or a basement type room, and in it he sees the pod that brought him to Earth. And he is startled, he's freaked out. He confronts his parents, and he learns that the reason he is so different is because he's an alien. And he is understandably upset. He's freaked out. He doesn't know what to do with himself. What do you do with that information? He's not human. He's always been alone, but he's never been it. As far as he was concerned, he was just a weird kid. Now he's a freak. He doesn't know how to process this information. So we see him kind of growing up a little bit, and we see that this messed him up. Like he fools around. He doesn't take anything seriously. He acts out in school. I know this is different than everybody's perception of Superman, being that he's always depicted as being like a straight A student. He was good and all that, and he is a good kid. He's good-hearted. His parents raised him right, but at the same time, he's a fucking alien, and he doesn't know how to deal with this. So for some of his teens, he starts acting out. He causes problems at school. He gets into fights because he knows that nobody's going to be able to keep up with him, and he has this kind of a troubled childhood. And so we start moving on, and we get into his late teens. We'll say he's 17, 18. He graduates high school, and he just he takes off. He leaves home. He's just wandering around the world, with his super speed and his ability to fly. He's just all over the place. And so one day he just comes back home, he visits, and he sees his parents, he meets with them, he talks with them, and he goes back down and he looks at the pod. And as he's looking at the pod, as he's examining it, hoping for some kind of answer, some kind of a response, he sets off the computer. The computer turns on. And the computer starts talking to him in the form of his father. And his father starts telling him why he sent him to Earth, why he was sent away, with the problems with Krypton, and that's the reason why he was alone. So he, as per his father's instructions, he takes the pod to a remote location, find somewhere, and he takes it, of course, to the North Pole, Fortress of Solitude. And through advanced cybernetics and such, and nanomachines that were in the pod, he manages to erect his building, his Fortress of Solitude. And inside of this fortress, is Krypton. It's all of Krypton. Krypton's history, Krypton's culture, Krypton's religions, Krypton's philosophies. The way they went to war, everything. So we have this 20-year-old guy, and he's sitting in a room full of nothing but information. And so he accepts his father's idea of training. He tells him that I'm going to teach you everything that you need to know about being Kryptonian and reaching your fullest potential as a being that is being supercharged by planet Earth, by planet Earth's rays, the yellow sun's rays. And he explains to him that he is an advanced being in power and agility and flexibility and strength and all of that, and he's far more intelligent than any other being, and his senses are 1,000. Everything about him is just super. There's no other way to describe it. But while being on planet Earth, absorbing yellow sun rays, yellow sun radiation, his powers are maximized 100,000 times, 1,000,000 times. I don't know. Superman's power is always fluctuating, so he's fucking insanely powerful, and he has added powers, like his ability, like his telescopic vision turns into microvision, where he can see really small things. Even sometimes if he focuses really hard, he can even see atoms. His ability to fly, his ability to pick up heartbeats and 10 miles away. All of these abilities, while some of them are natural, some of them are inborn because of the sun. So he agrees to receive his training, and this is how he was trained. Superman, Clark Kent, the Kryptonians were a species thousands upon thousands of years more advanced than us. Clark didn't spend 10 years training in the Fortress of Solitude. Jor-El simply beamed the information into his head. They used a psychic link to connect the computer and to teach him everything about Krypton. So that's it. He literally went into the Fortress of Solitude and he sat down, and all of the Kryptonian information was downloaded into his head. That's it. He needs to train physically, because even though he understands Kryptonian martial arts, which he learned too. This is something that it always pisses me off, that Superman is always just a big brute force guy. Superman learned and mastered from his father, from the artificial intelligence in the culture of Krypton, 2 martial arts. One, Torquasm Rao, which is a real martial art. It's been used in various comic books, and this is a physical martial art, which is essentially, punching, kicking, all of that. And it was designed by the Kryptonians to be the most mathematically perfect martial art in existence. It uses careful probability, mathematics, and science and all that against not only each other through civil war, but against other species in the universe. The most effective fighting style in existence. Now, that doesn't mean that it is the best. It is simply the most effective. To put it to you guys this way, if a regular human knew Torquasm Rao and they fought against Batman, if Batman only fought using Muay Thai, Torquasm Rao would win. If Batman only fought using Krav Maga, then Torquasm Rao would win. But because Batman knows multiple martial arts and he's able to pick and choose what he's going to do depending on the situation, he'll be able to react differently to each and every move that Torquasm Rao has. So Batman would come out on top. So it's all about being versatile and understanding your opponent. Batman, who knows multiple martial arts, is still going to beat somebody who's a master at Torquasm Rao. But Torquasm Rao is superior to any one martial art, especially on Earth, because Earth, we're technically less advanced than all the other races. So he learned that physical martial art, which is, punching, kicking, all of that. It's got grappling, it's got throws, everything. It's just a perfect martial art. And he learned Torquasm Vo. Torquasm Vo in the comics is a mental martial art, and this was developed by Kryptonians to prevent psychic battles. So basically, if a Kryptonian went up against a Martian, like the Martian Manhunter, who knew how to psychically attack you, you would be perfectly protected against him through your own series of psychic blocks and psychic abilities. The Kryptonians have no psychic ability that they can manifest. They're not like Superman is going to be a telepath. He's not going to do any of that. But remember turquoise Vo, because it will be important whenever I when I move on. So he's learning all of this, and he's mastered these in theory he's mastered these martial arts. He practices them in the Fortress of Solitude. Okay? And as this is going on, as Clark Kent is learning to become who he's eventually going to be, which is Superman, as he's learning all of this from his birth father and through the Kryptonian culture that he lost, we have another guy on Earth who's also trying to get ahead of the game, and his name is Lex Luthor. Now, Lex Luthor he's inherited billions of dollars from his father, and he wants to be the most successful businessman in the world. He wants his hands in every pot. He's buying movie rights, not movie rights. I'm sorry. He's buying production studios. He's establishing music companies. He's trying to establish himself in every industry to make the most money. He wants to be known as one of the most successful businessmen in the world. And he's hired a guy, hold on a sec, what's his name? He's hired a guy named Rudy Jones to steal a product from Star Labs, which is a competing company, to LexCorp. So, so this guy Rudy Jones, he's kind of like a pushover. He owes money to a lot of people. He's just he's kind of wimpy. And Rudy Jones goes in and he just takes the first thing he can get from Star Labs, where he is a janitor at. And it's this experimental substance, super toxic. He doesn't know what it does, but he takes a crate of it and he gets in his car and he takes off. Unfortunately, he loses control of the car, crashes, gets bathed in this toxic material, which is burning him, it's scalding him, and it is hurting him. It is the most excruciating pain that he's ever had to deal with. And that is how Act 1 ends, with Rudy Jones passed out somewhere near death. So finally we get to Act 2. And in Act 2, Superman is Superman. Clark Kent is Superman. He's mastered the Kryptonian martial arts. He's established his mental barriers and everything. He's prepared to take on the world and to fight anybody and to take on anyone. So he goes out and he's all over the world. He helps with disasters. He'll fly down in something in Africa, and someplace in Africa, and he'll save a guy who's about to be eaten by lions. He'll go to France and he'll stop a mugging. He'll go to the U.S. and he'll go to California and he'll help out during an earthquake. He's all over the world, and all over the world people are taking pictures, are taking videos, Instagramming him. He's on YouTube. He's everywhere, and he's taking over. He's blowing up, and everybody sees him with this S, and he gets nicknamed Superman, because he's a fucking Superman. And so everybody's like, oh, where's Superman at? Give me a second. Sounds like somebody's working outside. Okay, so everybody's like, wow, there's this Superman out there, and what's going on? Where'd he come from? All of this. And so he decides to make himself known. So he settles down in this is all taking place over the course of months, by the way, so I don't think this is like a week. So he moves into Metropolis, and that's where he's gonna live. It's miles away from his hometown in Smallville. This is Metropolis, Kansas. I don't know where Metropolis is located in the DC universe, but I'm just gonna say it's in Kansas, and it's like 30 miles away from Smallville. Smallville is a suburb of Metropolis. So he's living there, and finally he makes himself known, and he saves a very famous person, Lois Lane. Lois Lane is a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist. She's everywhere. She's appeared on news shows. She's anchored. She's written articles. She's on the red carpets with famous celebrities. So he saves her, and so he decides, I'm gonna talk to her. So like a week later, after he saves her, he approaches her when she's on the roof having a smoke of the building, and he gives her an exclusive interview where he tells her, "Yeah, I'm an alien. I was born on Krypton. It's 100 light years that way. He was born in Andromeda," and he told her that Krypton is no longer around, and his father saved him by sending him to planet Earth. He grew up on planet Earth, and he's here for truth and justice. Not the American way, because Superman should be a global hero, in my opinion. No man with that much power should be like, I'm only going to represent the United States of America. Or any one nation. He should fly everywhere and be kind to everyone. So he makes himself known, and people know his name is Kal-El, but they've been calling him Superman for so long that the name stuck. So now we have Superman as an established hero. And in the meantime, people are disappearing. People are they're being discovered comatose, some dead. They think that there's some sort of virus or plague going around because where the people die, there are dead animals and dead plants. They don't know quite what's going on. Until finally, one day in the middle of Metropolis, Superman's flying around and he's helping out. People have established that that's his city. Even though he's a global hero, the most sightings are there. And buildings are blowing up. Not buildings, I'm sorry. There's a bunch of destruction going on in the street. Cars are getting flipped over. And there is this strange humanoid creature flipping cars over and destroying everything. It's purple. It's got kind of like a silvery look to it. It looks like a man. It's big. He's like 6'3". He's 200 something pounds, and he's just thrashing everybody and hurting people. Superman flies down, and he's like, "What the fuck is going on here? Why are you hurting my people?" And this guy tells him, "Call me Parasite." Now, Parasite is a villain that I have not seen in any live animated that I haven't seen in any live adaptations, and he's one of my favorite villains. I think the concept for him is so awesome. Like, he touches people, and he obtains not only their life energy, he gets their strength, their even their memories. Like, it's been established that if he touches you, then he can remember your whole life if he wanted to. So Superman's like, this guy, sure, he's got the strength to flip a car over, but I'm fucking Superman. I can lift an entire continent. Because he's done that before in the first Superman movie. But yeah, so he decides, I'm just going to punch this guy. So he punches him, and his punch has no effect. Why? Because Parasite absorbs all energy, and a punch is nothing but kinetic energy, which he absorbs, and that makes him strong. So now he's as strong as a Superman punch. He returns the punch, Superman goes down. He approaches Superman and he grabs a hold of his throat, and he's just absorbing Superman's energy. Superman has never felt anything like this. He's never been felt this drained before. Even when he uses his heat vision is his most draining ability, because he blasts and then he feels weak and he needs to recharge. But this is even 10 times worse than that. And and finally Superman just blacks out. He just passes out. And he wakes up minutes later, and Parasite is gone. People are wondering what happened, and they're trying to help him up, and he's like, fuck, he's never been beaten before. So then Superman's been beaten, headlines, some purple guy choked him into submission. Nobody really knows that Parasite is absorbing energy, but Superman knows. He felt it when he touched him. Luckily, Parasite was not able to retrieve any of his personal memories. Why? Turquoise Mvo. I mentioned this before, but Superman is able to, because of Turquoise Mvo, he's able to establish a mind with blocks and all of this to prevent him from being psychically attacked. So, essentially, he was in Superman mode. In Superman mode, he is all business. He helps people. He's kind. He is representing Krypton, so he's channeling Krypton in his mind. So he touched him, but he doesn't have any information about Clark Kent. Why? Because Clark Kent was not in Superman's mind. Clark Kent is never in Superman's mind because he's Superman, or Kal-El. So he knows all of his personal details, all of his tricks, the way he thinks as Superman. He even learned Torquasm Rao and Torquasm Bo from Superman, simply by choking him into submission. So now we have the Parasite, who is a match for Superman. But here's the thing. Parasite's powers deplete over time. His absorption ability is not permanent. As Superman starts regaining his strength, he starts flying around, he starts he starts helping people again, and he's searching for the Parasite. Why? Because he's got an axe to grind with the son of a bitch. And so he's So he's searching for the Parasite, and the Parasite has gotten away, and he's leaving. Parasite was here, but over time, Parasite disappears. No more messages, no more destruction, no more nothing. This is finally when we're getting into the climax. So this is the beginning of Act 3. Superman, it's been a few months since Parasite disappeared, and everything has gone cold. Everything, there's no sightings, no nothing, until one day Superman's out patrolling and he runs into Parasite again. And the Parasite, he's realized, my powers deplete over time. Taking Superman's power isn't permanent. He's desperate because he's never felt that kind of power before. He wants the ability to fly. He wants the heat vision. He wants all of those powers back. So Parasite gets an idea in his head. It's crazy, but it's crazy enough to work. He gets into a fight with Superman, and they exchange blows. Again, this is good for Parasite because he's just absorbing the kinetic energy of the blows. And anytime he makes physical contact with Superman, he starts absorbing his powers. This battle goes back and forth for a while. A couple minutes, 3, 5, 10 minutes, and finally they're evenly matched. Parasite does something that he's never done to any other thing before. Living, dead, whatever, grass, whatever. He's never done this before. He's battling Superman. He manages to get him in a hold, in a lock. He bends down and he takes a bite out of Superman. His enhanced strength and his enhanced teeth, everything, he manages to take a bite out of Superman. He rips off a chunk of his flesh, he chews it, and he swallows it. At this point, Superman he's bleeding. He's been beaten near a pulp, again, by someone who is able to match his strength and his skill. He is kind of woozy because he might have nicked a very he might have nicked a very important vein or a artery or whatever. And Superman panics, weakened. He's fearing for his life, something that he's never felt before, and he needs to recharge. So Superman flies up into the sky, taking off. Nobody knows what he's doing. Nobody knows that Superman absorbs Nobody knows that Superman absorbs solar radiation. So he flies up, and he's flying up in the upper atmosphere, just, up in the clouds, and he's absorbing the energy. His wound heals almost immediately, and he starts recharging and recharging and recharging. And he flies back down. When he gets there, downtown Metropolis is almost all rubble, and he doesn't know what's happened. He goes to the people. He starts helping with the cleanup. Some people are hating on him. Some people are like, thank you for saving me. People are starting to become polarized by Superman. And he starts asking people what's going on, what happened, and they told him that the parasite, that dude that took a chunk out of you, he started freaking out. He went crazy. He started thrashing around. He was hitting all the buildings, and he seemed to be getting stronger and stronger. And we don't know what's going on. And he destroyed part of downtown Los Angeles. He destroyed part of downtown Metropolis, and he just flew in that direction. So Superman, the parasites escaped, and there's buildings still crumbling. There's people screaming for help, so he stays and he helps. He's 100% recharged. He's 100% good as new, and he's out fixing everything. He's he's cleaning up. He's dealing with reporters and people who are hating on him, and he's just exhausted. So he doesn't know what to do. So he flies north to the Fortress of Solitude, and he goes into the Fortress of Solitude, and he's like freaking out, and he doesn't know what's going on. And so he goes to his father's computer, and he's starting to looking for anything, avoid something that's absorbing energy. He starts looking at the computer, and nothing turns up. Nothing is absorbing energy. He goes onto the internet through it, and he starts looking at Twitter, at Tumblr, at YouTube, trying to see if there's any very, very recent sightings of the parasite. Nothing. So Superman he's bummed out. He's very, very, very downtrodden because he was beaten in a fight, something that has never happened to him before. The first time that he fought against the parasite, he was completely taken off guard and did not expect energy absorption. He did not expect for the parasite to touch him and for him to lose energy and power and to pass out. So he didn't really consider it a loss. It was just, just a bad meeting. So the second time around, he thought he was going to be able to match up with the parasite. All he had to do was limit the contact that they had and try and tire him out to get him to expend the energy rather than touching him and giving him energy. But the parasite, somehow, Superman doesn't really know that Parasite was able to absorb memories, but the parasite had absorbed his memories of Torquazam Rao and Torquazam Bo. So he is now essentially a Kryptonian warrior mentally. He knows these mental disciplines, and he knows these physical disciplines, and he was able to match him and even beat him. Partially because he was absorbing his energy every time they locked fist, he managed to get him in a grapple or something like that. So Superman was utterly defeated by this creature, and he doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know what he's going to do to beat him. Maybe he could come up with a suit or something that would prevent him from transferring energy, but it wouldn't work because anytime he punches him, the kinetic energy would give him a boost, especially Superman's punches. If he's punching with all of his might, there's a shit ton of energy there, and that's just going to supercharge him. So Superman goes out, and he doesn't know what to do. He's just he is defeated. So he goes out, and he's sitting at the top of the world just outside of the Fortress of Solitude on the North Pole. He's absorbing the solar radiation. He's trying to supercharge, and he's trying to think. He's using his super advanced brain, his super genius abilities, trying to figure out, what am I going to do about this guy? And as he's thinking this, he gets attacked by a man he's never seen before. He's tall, he's blonde, he's fit, and he's flying. And he's punching Superman hard enough to make him see double for a second. Superman turns and looks at this guy, and he engages him, and they start battling. And as they're battling, this guy screams at him, "There's only one of us. There can only be one of us. I will be the strongest. I'm going to be the strongest. I've taken everything that I can take from you." And Superman realizes this was the parasite. When the parasite took a chunk out of Superman and ate it, it was something that he had never done before. He absorbed kinetic energy, radioactive energy, everything through touch, but he's never assimilated anything before. So when he took a bite out of Superman, his body absorbed it and began a metamorphosis. Why? Because it recognized a better way to absorb energy. That is, through the Kryptonian's ability to absorb yellow sunlight. His body was always on the verge of death because of the toxic material. And the only reason he was alive was because he was always managing to absorb just a little bit of radiation from the atmosphere, from the energy of the plants, from people that he touched, that he gained their strength and their memories and all of that. He was always just on the verge of death, and his body, this toxic radioactive thing that was surviving by stealing from other creatures, recognized that this was an upgrade. And because his cells were so malleable, so receptive to change and to absorbing, his body, his DNA changed, and he became a Kryptonian. So there's this guy, formerly Rudy Jones, and he's fighting Superman, and he's fighting Superman to a standstill. Only now it's, instead of some purple creature against Superman, it's Rudy Jones, dressed in a t-shirt and some jeans versus Superman. He now looks normal, not a human. He doesn't look human anymore because he's not human anymore, but he's Kryptonian. So he fights. He's fighting. Now they're going head to head and they're fighting. Only this time, Superman has a slight edge over Parasite, or formerly Parasite, Rudy Jones. Rudy Jones has become so accustomed to absorbing the energy from his victims that he can no longer absorb them. Now every time Superman punches him in the face, he gets dazed. He doesn't get charged from it. He just gets pain and he gets dazed from it. Sure, he's absorbing sunlight from the yellow sun, but he hasn't been Kryptonian for very long, so his body isn't that adapted to absorbing it yet, and he's not absorbing anything from his victim. So Superman beats Parasite, Rudy Jones, into submission. Unfortunately, now begs the question, what does he do with Rudy Jones? Rudy Jones is now a Kryptonian. There's no way to change him back into a human if he can turn back at all. There's no prison that can hold him. There's nowhere for him to go. There's nothing for him to do, and he's psychotic. Living so long as a parasite made him crave power, made him crave being better than he just was. If I absorb this guy, I'll be twice as strong as I was before. If I absorb that guy, then I'll be as strong as 3 men, and he just wanted to be more and more powerful, which is why he kept targeting Superman. He wanted Superman's power for himself. But when he had that power, he realizes that he lost it over time. And now, as a Kryptonian, he would never lose that power. It would always be with him. So Superman, with no choice, casts Rudy Jones into the Phantom Zone. And that is how it ends. That is how Act 3 ends. So, I had an idea, this is just a basic idea. Like I said, this is just an opening to Superman. This is just Superman's origins. And like I said, I'm titling this Superman Hope because that's what Superman represents. And I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it was probably tricky to follow me all the way through. It was probably weird because I was kind of going back and forth a little bit. But I hope you guys understood the gist of the story, that how things are with Krypton, and how things are on Earth. And I hope you guys got a kick out of it at least. Maybe if you weren't laughing with me, maybe you were laughing at me. But either way, I'll see you guys later. You guys didn't think I was going to forget about a post-credit scene, did you? Well, at the end of this, there would be a post-credit scene if I was directing and writing and all this crap. So here's the post-credit scene. Superman casts Rudy Jones into the Phantom Zone. He's in the Phantom Zone, which is represented in my vision just as a vast desert that goes on for eternity, and he's wandering around. Time has no meaning there, so he could have been for a few minutes to a few decades. And he runs into a small group of people, 5, 6 people, and they're being led by one guy who introduces himself as General Zod.